Hi, Mark here. Tuesday, March the 17th, 9:18 a.m. Eastern, 1:18 p.m. GMT. US session well underway. And let's have a look at the US dollar's performance. Carrying on from yesterday's sell-off, I've got a third consecutive lower high, lower lows. I've got resistance at 99.87 and I've got support at 99.34 and support being tested right now. We'll see whether this sell-off continues. US dollar weakness continues through the day, or if we're going to get a turnaround, maybe a bounce up, excuse me, a reversal, buying US dollars, bouncing up off this level, looking back up to get to the resistance on the 100 level. But certainly the week has started a turnaround from what we've seen the past 2 weeks. We've seen US dollars sold off yesterday, continuing today, and we'll watch us and see how that plays out. Let's have a look at the majors. And there you see it, US dollar sell-off picking up from yesterday's sell-off against the euro. Yesterday we saw the euro strengthened against the US, and today continuing that move higher. Let's move up our support now to 114.63, and I have resistance at 115.37. We'll see if this can continue. Buying euro, selling US dollar weakness can push higher and look up at that 116 level, or if we're going to get a turnaround, tough level here. We see the wicks from the going back beginning of the month. We'll see whether this support whether the support can turn into a resistance area and sellers do bounce down from here. But for now, EMA is about to cross to the upside, and certainly US dollar being sold off this morning. Let's have a look at the pound. There you see a very similar pattern to the euro. Let me move my support, which now sits at 132.69. I've got resistance being tested at 133.48. That's buying pound, selling US dollar. US dollar weakness, just like the euro. EMA's about to cross over on the daily at this point. Current resistance has been a support level. We'll see whether sellers do step in around here and turn things around, selling pound and buying US dollar, but certainly not the case as the US session now is underway, a continuation of yesterday's US dollar sell-off. Let's have a look at the US against the yen. There you see support almost matching yesterday's support, but a lower high, continuing yesterday's sell-off against the yen. I've got resistance 159.51, and I've got support at 158.82 being tested right now. Again, relevant level. We'll see how that plays out, where the US dollar buyers do step in at this area and look to bounce up off this 158.80, get back above the 159, or continuation of US dollar weakness, yen strength, and sellers look to break below the support and push lower. Once again, EMAs on the daily almost about to cross over, like we saw in the euro and the pound. Let's have a look at the US Canadian pair. Here we're still seeing some US dollar strength, bit of a different pattern to the others, and uptrend firmly still in place here. I've got support at 136.79 and I've got resistance at 137.09. Given up some of the early gains, this was a solid green candlestick. If I zoom in on the hourly, there you see the turnaround, and this is in the last couple of hours. There's the bounce down off that resistance level at the 137.09, and we're now seeing this continuing selling US dollar, buying Canadian. We'll see whether that can be maintained almost a crossover, but we are on the shorter time frame, the hourly. We'll see if sellers can get back below, maintain below the 136, looking down at support at 136.79 for now. So we're seeing, following up from yesterday's US dollar sell-off, which is a bit of a turnaround for us, continuing into today. We'll see how that plays out through the US session, whether the sell-off can be maintained or even extended, or if we get a turnaround through the US session later in the day. Resistance and support levels have been established. They're being tested right now with the weak US dollar. Good trading, and I'll see you at the end of the day.